Love Them Knives channel, LTK here. Thank you for joining me. Look at the steel Will Tasso, Tasso. It has the ant lock mechanism. So it's kind of an upside down axis lock, I guess. So you push this up and there you go. You've cleared it out. Not terribly flickable. It's still kind of stiff. Not sure how much less stiff it's going to get without maybe making a pivot screw adjustment. I haven't taken this apart. I sent this in a while back just to get Rockwell testing on it. I was talking to my buddy Steve Kluver. He's one of the viewers here, and he's also kind of mixes it up with the testing group. And he goes, man, I think I can smell some low Rockwell on it. And it's because the Modus, the cut jack, and things like that we've tested as a group, M390 on these Italian-made ones have been low. They've just been low. So he was hesitant about getting one. I sent it in to test it because I was a sacrificial lamb. And as you can see, I mean, let me just throw this out. This is a hell of a way to start a review. But if you look at steel Will on our spreadsheet, you've got the link. It's every video. I give you the link to look at this, and it will get updated and updated. But you look at steel Will M390, where is it? 58. It's low. 60 to 60 or up should be the minimum. 60 definitely the minimum. I think there's people in our group that would argue that really 62 or a high 61 something would be really the starting point. But 58, 58.5, 57.8, that's just incredibly weak. And this is number 4, so this hasn't been logged yet. This was two punches on here. One was a 58 and one was a 58.6. So yeah, and let me see oh yeah, I love the ant lock. It's so intuitive. Yeah, here's the 2 punches. I'm sorry, this was covered up. But it was a 58 and a 58.6. I don't know which one was which of the 2 tests. But let's give it the benefit of the doubt, 58.6. Incredibly weak Rockwell on M390 that can definitely probably shine at a 64. That's just way low. 62 would be, yes, I would love that. 60, I kind of roll my eyes, but I live with it because that's about the best I get on any M390 knife. I've had 2 M390 knives that were better than 60. One was a Tucson knife at like 62 something, and the other was a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Thank you, Spyderco, at a 61.7. So that was the bento box one in M390. But those are the tops. I know other guys in our group have gotten 62, 62.5. I don't think anybody's bettered that yet. So 64 is still an elusive target. Should be 62 and up. 58's tough. So I know I'm ratting around and not telling you about the knife, but for $170, just give me Sandvik steel, charge me $80. I'd be happy. I really like the design of this knife. I really do. I like it. It comes in here in this box, okay, and there's your information. This is not the small model. This is the large model, by the way. I forgot there was a smaller one that had come out since. So there you go, and you got the ant lock. And hold on. Let me throw a few things. I'll give you the link to Knife News where you can look at this article back from June of 2019. And I think this was in anticipation of a Blade show in Atlanta. But Anton Tkachenko is the guy who designed the Tasso and the inventor of the ant lock mechanism. Of course, they first released this in January 2017, the ant lock deal, which was, right after December 2016. So at that time, Benchmade still had the patent on their axis lock. So here comes the ant lock. But by the time this actually came to fruition, Benchmade's patent had gone away, and Millet Knives had already done the Perpetua Schwartz design, right? Done by Drop, and this is just so intuitive, okay? This is just so intuitive to be able to do. Oh God, I hit my stand. I cut my stand. Nitro V, thank God. So, you know, this is really, I love this knife, and I just think if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But Benchmade had this for a long time. And here's my Super Freak, right? First production run. And really, really, I mean, you pull these back, it's just smooth. Smooth as a baby's butt. It really is. This, and I don't know if you can hear this. Hold on. It's just really gritty. It sounds gritty. It sounds like unfinished steel on steel, like it's not a real smooth transition. You know, it's a little getting used to use your finger over here to actuate, and it's really more intuitive to do the thumb. Yes, you can operate it. Yes, you can, just like that, okay? It's just not as intuitive, and when I use an axis lock, this is just, I've got a hold of the knife. Here's my stable base here, okay, for deploying this. It's back in the palm of my hand, and I don't know if it's just that I'm more used to this or it's just a more natural thing to do. Here, my stable base is not back here. It's here. It's my finger here. I'm pushing this down so I can push this up and release the blade. So, and of course, then they did away with the liners here because it doesn't require that kind of reinforcement, so it makes it lighter. That's the good part. The bad part is I really like liners. They're just so much more structural. They make things feel, I don't know, more substantial in my hand. And of course, these have got liners too. So yes, it's lighter. So we'll have a way off between those three beasts. But all right, that's my bitch and moan. The steel and the lock mechanism. And that's probably what they're selling here, other than a design. Now the design flows. I like the design. Do you like the design? I love the design. This reminds me a little bit of the Lanner, kind of that buoy, not buoy, but you know, swedge kind of blade thing. Where's the Lanner? So here's the Lanner, okay? And here's this. They're different, but they're both kind of in the same spirit of blade. I really like the Lanner. Unfortunately, Steel will, with their cut jack modus, Lanner and others that they're making in China in D2. And if you looked at that spreadsheet that I showed you, the D2 was good. It was 60, 61, whatever on their D2. So China, yeah, they're getting higher, they're getting acceptable Rockwell hardness. But the thing is, there's no bearings in these. They're all washer based, and I'm not digging that. I'm sorry. I know there's people that love washer knives, and if you do, then God bless you, and you've got knives now. But no. And if you put bearings on the Chinese FRN, really, I don't understand why you're doing the M390 and G10 in Italy. You could do that in China, and I think you'd probably get better outcomes. And I'd skip the M390 because very few manufacturers are really killing it with the M390 right now, so I don't think it's worth the extra money. I'd rather give me a good Sandvik steel or N690 or VG10. I don't know. Something different in the stainless, because D2 fatigue is setting in with a lot of people. But do something there. And then this at $85, I'm all over it. I'm all over it, but not at 170. Not when the steel probably won't perform as well as some of the very mediocre steels at this Rockwell. So, I mean, what's the point, right? I remember the first cut test that Cedric did with his expensive Italian-made cut jack, and it was a total fail, right? It was about maybe as good as D2. So there you go. This, though, is a good-looking design. I'm not bitching about that. Boy, do I just take off or what? Sorry. 6/10, 15 millimeters. Let's get up here and see if it changes much. Nah, it doesn't. Okay, so it's pretty much the same up and down. Okay. 6/10, and then let's go to the blade stock and see what we got here. Just get some of this out of the way. 0.138, so what, 3.5 millimeter blade stock. So that's good. I like the blade looks, and I think for piercing, slicing, stuff like that, let's see if it'll cut. Okay. I mean, it's sharp out of the box, so that's, thank God for small favors. But yeah, I like it. It's not a huge knife, but, you know, check out with my CKF Snafu, which is almost 9 inches, and the Snafu's a lot bigger knife. Just had to throw that out in the middle of everything, right? But, okay, the Perpetua. Perpetua's smaller. Let's get freaky. That is just such good action on the freak. Getting closer. Getting closer. So let's throw the tape to it. 3.5 and 8 1/4. There you go. There's your paramilitary 2 right there. 3.5, 8 1/4. Boom, boom, boom. Typical EDC size knife. Let's throw the scales out here, because I guess if that's your bragging rights are how light it is without all those nice, beautiful, substantial steel liners in there. And it's 4.16 ounces. Not ultra light. So, okay. About 118 grams. Okay. Yeah. I thought it might be under 4, but not really. But there you go. So this, let's see, what does my Para 2 weigh? Where is, I can't remember where my other Para 2 went. I know the other 2 are in for testing. They're 3.8 ounces, so this is heavier than a paramilitary 2. Now, this is way more substantial, 6/10. So if you don't like a fat handle, you're not going to like this knife. But if you do like the fullness that it gives you in the hand, and the ergos are great on this knife, I like it. And you got this front choil to go forward with. You got jimping on top of the spine, and you got a crown spine up here, nice rounded. The thumb studs are ambidextrous. Satin grind, really like it. I think, you know, if you took this to China and put Sandvik or whatever in it, get rid of the weak ass M390, and then offer it in blue, orange, OD green, and offer it for like $85, I'd be all over that. I mean, you know, all these G10 knives that are coming from China, these are all in the $50 to $55 range. So there's my Paladin here. That's smooth, beautiful thing. There's my Swordfish here, that kind of thing. So, you know, I think at 170, if this was a 62 Rockwell on that steel, okay. I don't think you got robbed, but I don't think you stole it either. But it's just not worth the extra money to me. Now check it out. I mean, I like the G10 backspacer, and it's kind of rounded and stuff. I found it interesting that some of their knives, they'll do those beautiful anodized aluminum backspacers, but then they'll go to Italy for their expensive model and then go back to a G10. And it seems like it's counterintuitive, but the pocket clip here does work okay, although before I turned the camera on, I noticed I had a pocket lint thing under this clip, so it held on to that. Yeah, it holds your pocket okay, but it does go into your pocket fine, comes out fine. There's some others I've tested recently that are tough. But look at the pocket clip. it really, really needs a deep carry, don't you think? I think it does. What was I looking at recently that has a deep... Oh, my Mordax. You know, my Mordax has got a deep carry, although for the price of this, you should have given this a titanium one. But, I mean, that's the kind of pocket clip I'd like to see on here. You know, this big, broad base here with the screws, it's kind of ugly. I mean, they're talking in their thing about how this is a beautiful, like, accent or, you know, stylistic accent. And to me, I don't care. I mean, it's better than if it was solid, but nah. I mean, I'm not getting any blade play. It's centered, you know, that kind of thing. So it just feels gritty in the operation here. Yeah, just and trying to actuate it over here is a little tougher, because then I do got to use the base of my palm to support the back of the knife as I lift on this side. So it's more uncomfortable and more awkward to actuate. Here's the deal. By the time you waited to do this, you could have just used the axis lock, which I would have preferred. And you know what? That would have been one big hit less on this knife, because an axis lock is more intuitive, smoother. If it's not broke, why are you fixing it? Why are you trying to come up with another locking mechanism that's no better, if not worse, than the alternative that already exists? Does that make any sense? So, yeah, I love the design. I mean, the design itself, this deserves, and really, what you could do is get rid of the lock mechanism altogether, make it a liner lock, different colors, G10 available, and then you got bearings on it, and you just, the thumb studs. Forget the flipper tab. Make it a liner lock, G10. This design needs to be celebrated, but it's collapsing on its own defects, which is the heat treat on the blade or the price, whichever, because I'm going to treat this as no better than D2 with the Rockwell it's got. So it's like getting D2 G10 knife for $170. That's not competitive. So if you like the print on the blade that says M390, hey, you can get a little thing. You can stamp that on every knife you've got, because the performance will be about the same. It doesn't matter. It matters that it's brought to its potential. If it isn't, it's not worth having, and it's certainly not worth the extra money. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, this is going away. I think if it would have been maybe a liner lock in G10 with this design and the ambidextrous thumb studs and everything for like $75, even though it had been like $25 more expensive than these, I would have bought one and used it, because I really like the ergos on it. I love the design. I like the look of the blade, piercing, slicing. You know, you've got a good contact patch here, as opposed to if you had a flipper. So there you go. No recurve, should be easy to sharpen. And at this Rockwell hardness, it should be really easy to sharpen, unfortunately. So that's enough for me on this. I know if you disagree, that's fine. You love the ergos and you love the function of the knife. You love the design. Hey, I love the design. I love the ergos too. And I like the way they produced it overall, fit and finish wise. Pocket clip leaves a lot to be desired as far as I'm concerned. And the pricing is not reflective of what you're getting, because you're getting no better than just a base mid-grade steel and a G10 knife. So that's definitely not a $170 knife. I'll let you have it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You know what we do. We love most of them knives. So you guys stay sharp.